Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm back again. Can you believe it? I'm already back. Today we've got a Kane post-game commentary. You guys, oh, I know how you love the good old post-game commentaries. So first, let's just, in the client, we'll talk about runes and masteries on Kane, and then we'll just jump into the spectating. So the runes I take on Kane are these. This is actually just my default attack damage page. I forgot to mention this in my patch rundown that I just released like yesterday, the day before, but CDR is pretty bad to take right now on a rune page because there are so many items that have CDR on them that you want to build that you almost always get 40% CDR even if you don't try to. So that's why I always run MR in place of CDR or like attack speed if that's the kind of champion I'm playing, but I hardly ever run CDR on my rune page anymore. And then this page has 9 attack damage, or 9.6 attack damage, 9.6 lethality. Before it was just all attack damage, but when they buffed lethality I threw some on here. That's not really that important. If you don't have lethality runes, just make it all attack damage. I wouldn't make it all lethality though, especially on Kane, because you can't clear the jungle that well early game if you don't have some attack damage. So more attack damage is going to make your first clears a little bit easier. But if you take a little bit of lethality like this, then you're going to do a little more damage to champions. So that's why I have this. And then armor yellows. And you don't need attack speed on Kane. So I think this is all pretty standard. Other than the little bit of lethality, but we explain that. And then masteries. This is my Kane mastery page always, whether I'm playing Shadow Assassin or Rhaast. Which, I mean, you should always try to go for Rhaast right now, because Shadow Assassin's kind of weak. But either way, it's 0, 18, 12. The reason you want to go 12 in Resolve is because Kane's early clears are really weak in the jungle, and if you go 12 in Ferocity, you're not going to be able to gank after your first clear, no matter what. So I think it's more beneficial to go into Resolve, and then Thunderlords is the mastery that makes the most sense on Kane. Some people said Fervor, but they were just wrong, because he's a spell-based cast. I mean, it'd be like taking Fervor on Zed. They have very similar kits, Zed and Kane do. So if you always take Thunderlords on Zed, right? I mean, you could also take Storm Rider Surge on that note, but with the way you play Kane right now, you play Rhaast and you go kind of Bruiser, so you're not guaranteed to do that much damage without Thunderlords, so I don't think Storm Rider Surge is the best either. So 0, 18, 12. I take Wanderer because your Q is your main clear tool and your W, and both of those are not single target spells, so I don't really see a point in taking Savagery. I like taking Assassin because of the build I go on Kane. I'm really mobile and it's fun picking people off that are split pushing. This, obviously you don't need that, and this I think is better than Greenfather's Gift in general, especially when you're trying to group with your team a lot. This obviously over that because it does more damage, we already talked about this. This helps you stay healthy in the jungle, and so does this, that's why you take both of them. This for that same reason. If you could afford to take Explorer, I probably would, but you would have too low of health. And then this mastery is really good right now, but you could trade it out for Perseverance if you feel like you still don't have enough health in the jungle. And then, I mean, you could also take Insight, but if you're taking Insight, I would just say Fearless instead of Insight. But maybe Perseverance if you're feeling like you can't clear the jungle well on Kane. So 0, 18, 12. And then we already talked about the runes. And then I'll see you guys in the spectator thingamajigger. Yeah. Okay, so here we are in the spectator client. I'm gonna go ahead and let it roll just a little bit. So, looking at the team comps, they actually counterpicked me pretty well. The enemy team did. We talked about that you need to go Rhaast form on Kane every chance you get, and their team actually went 5 or 4 ranged. Well, really 3.5 ranged, I guess, because Elise, depending on what form she is, she counts towards either ranged or melee for your passive. And then Gangplank's away, their only melee champion. So that means I have one of 2 options. I can either camp the mess out of Gangplank and skirmish with Elise a little bit, and that should get me Rhaast. Or I can just camp whoever and get the Shadow Assassin upgrade. Either go Shadow Assassin or wait the 4 minutes to still go Rhaast, even if that's what it offers me. So I am going to try to just Gangplank. I think that's definitely the right thing to do here. I don't like waiting another 4 minutes after you finally unlock it just to go the right form, and I didn't want to go Shadow Assassin in this game at all. So anyways, I'm going to start at Raptors, and with your Q and Hunter's Talisman, as long as you're in the Resolve tree, it's pretty easy to clear raptors. And then red, I do usually smite because red does more auto attack damage than blue buff does. But either way, whether you smite red or you smite blue, you're going to come out of the jungle not super healthy. Even if you kite around probably like I did, or if you take a lot longer, then you can come out of the jungle healthier. But I sacrificed some of my life for speed. And then you see I killed the Scuttle and I'm already back to full life. My Kassadin did already die mid, so right now I'm going to try to trade some damage on the Gangplank just because... we can keep it sped up, sorry. Just because any damage on him goes towards Rhaast. But I'm not going to turret dive him or anything like that. I'm just trying to damage him where I can. And you see I got a few hits on them and a few more auto attacks on them. I take a turret shot there, but it doesn't matter. I use my E through the wall to heal up a little bit, and right now it's just racking up Rhaast. So something that people still need to learn for Kayn, I mean, we are still in the first patch that he was released, so there's a lot of learning to come, but Kayn skirmishes a lot. You don't have to get kills at all for Kayn's passive, you just need to damage the certain type of champion. So especially in a scenario like this where the enemy only has really one always melee champion, you're going to want to be fighting them almost all the time, but that doesn't mean you need to kill them all the time. And sometimes your teammates kind of misunderstand what you need to do and overextend and get themselves killed while you gank. So just make sure that you actually type that out. I usually type it out at the beginning of the game. I say, you guys know how Kayn works. This is what I need to do early game. I'm going to be mid a lot, and I'm not going to necessarily kill him, but I need to hit him a lot. And just let your team know. And if they can't work with that, then you know, that's really all you can do. But you're going to see this game that I did some really hardcore carrying. So it's definitely possible even if your team doesn't cooperate. So now my bot lane dies and my Kassadin wants to come in for a teleport. Unfortunately, I am still Kayn. I'm not Rhaast, or else that would have been a double knockup. And here the Tristana is already 2-0 and she is level 4. I didn't want her to get full stacks of her bomb on me and Elise be right there to jump on me with Elise's execute. So that's why I go ahead and flash over the wall. It's kind of a better safe than sorry method. And unfortunately, until I get Rhaast, there's not a whole lot I can do versus their bot lane because they're really mobile. Now we could probably kill Nami, but since my bot lane's already behind, the chances of that just keep going down and down. So because of that, I'm going to stick to the original plan of just skirmishing with the Gangplank as much as I can. Now as for the clearing this game, you're going to see me not clear Wolves and Gromp until pretty late into the game. And that's just because of how the way experience works on jungle items. So for every monster that you kill that's a higher level than you, you get bonus experience. So this means it's usually more beneficial to kill the camps that spawn more monsters, aka raptors. Raptors is definitely the best camp to clear. So what was happening in this game is, while my lane gets into a fight, I come to counter just because I don't want them to die. I'm really not expecting to get any kills here. I just wanted to scare off the enemy bot lane. Also, Gangplank ulted, which made it even harder. So I go ahead and kill them. I get a little bit of passive, but it's two different. You have to fill up the bar based on who you hit. You can't get like 51% melee champion and 49% ranged, and then it would go for the Rhaast. You have to get 100% Rhaast, and if you got like 30% Shadow Assassin in the meantime, then it's a waste, if you guys know what I'm saying. So anyways, I get a little damage on them, but it doesn't help me at all. I come to kill Raptors. Gangplank doesn't know I'm doing Raptors, so he tries to jump on my Sona, and he was way out of place. He tried to ult away, but with my ult I was able, or he tried to flash away, sorry, and then with my ult I was able to chase him, and I am going to finish him off. And the important part there is not even that I killed Gangplank. Of course the kill is going to get me ahead, but it's the fact that I damaged Gangplank that whole time, and I solo killed him, so I got a lot of rack up towards my passive. So now we'll go and speed it up. And as for the clearing that I was talking about, here I'm going to go take blue. It's not that I don't want to kill Wolves and Gromp, but if you kill Raptors all the time and you are actually getting kills when you go for ganks, you'll be able to keep up with everyone else in the game. And that's really all that I could do this game because of how behind my team was. I was doing pretty well on my own, so I needed to keep forcing fights with people. Like you see here with me and the Elise, I just got my blue, so her red's probably up. So I went ahead and go and ward it, and then we see that she's going to do it. Kassadin follows up on my room, and we do manage to kill off the Elise. But the important part here is, since the ganks I was doing were going well with Kassadin, I need to keep doing those. I can't just AFK farm the jungle, because one, because Kayn can't do that anyways, because you need to transform, and two, sorry, I just had to burp, and two, getting a lead however small, is what's going to help me transition into later in the game. So now we kill off Elise in her jungle. She was actually spider form for half of that, so that went towards my passive a little bit. And then right now I get the honeydew plant just to heal up a little bit so I can actually come gank the gangplank. I come through the wall so I get even more heal. I jump on the gangplank. He jukes my W, but I don't think that was worth it because that just put him in range of Kassadin. Kassadin gets some more damage on him. I ult him, and then with that I actually got my passive. Now you can't see it on the spectator client, but I do know that I have it, so I'm going to go ahead and recall. Unless there's an extreme circumstance going on, every time my passive's ready, I instantly recall and go get it, because it's just a whole different world being Rhaast versus being Kayn. And then you're gonna see here I went for the mobility boots buy. I do that every single game I play Kayn. I don't know if I talked about that in the video that I made recently because I had to record the video like 8 times, so I know I said it sometimes, but anyways. Elise comes for a gank bot. They're going to finish off my Sona and my Misfortune before I even get there, but my Kassadin does see me coming down and he teleports in, so because of that I do fight the enemies until I'm a little bit below half. Kassadin comes in with some damage, and then when I notice that Kassadin's, they're all on cooldown, right? The whole enemy team is. My Gnar is also here going Mega. They're going on Nami. I figured that Tristana was trying to kill me because she's 3-0, so she's pretty cocky. So because of that, I play kind of back. Also, when my E's up, I can walk through walls, so they're not really... Even though there's some distance between me and Tristana, I can catch up to her very quickly. Now, I knew exactly what bush Tristana was in because of my ward on red. So because of that, I'm trying to bait her to see what she's going to do. When I noticed that Elise has gone mid, I could 1v1 Tristana, and that wasn't the problem here. And then Kassadin comes in and gets the kill. That's fine with me. I don't mind if Kassadin takes the kill because he's Kassadin. But all I was waiting on was either backup to come to me or confirmation that Elise was not in that bush with Tristana. And I actually got both at the same time. So I'll go ahead and go on Tristana. We're going to finish her off. Gangplank's chasing down my Gnar, which is kind of trolling of him since he just saw me and Kassadin kill Tristana, not even 10 feet from where he's at. But, you know, because of that, we're going to punish him, kill him. And then my Raptors are up. The fighting's done, so I'm going to kill my Raptors, and I think my red's about to spawn too, so we'll get it. Now, I kill Raptors definitely the most this game. I kill Krugs a little bit, but it's almost only Raptors, buffs, and then ganking for the first half of this game. And like I said, as long as the ganks are going well, you're free to do that because of how much experience Raptors give you. Now here, Nami is going to face check the river, unfortunately. We did have vision of her mid lane, and we saw her walking down. I figured she was going to face check into me. She had a pink ward, but I don't know if she just really wasn't paying attention. We're going to go ahead and I get the kill on her. We're going to finish her off. Gangplank gets in a bad position. I'm going to go ahead and knock him up. And then Elise was pretty low, but I think she's going to get away. And I go ahead and back off because right now I'm rolling at 304. There's no reason for me to really throw my lead by overextending. Now, while my bot lane's kind of doing poorly and my mid lane's not doing super great, I'm doing super great. So because of that, you're going to see me just kind of pop off. Now here, Tristana goes for a little bit over harass on my team. The enemy team really didn't understand how Kayn works. I don't think a lot of people do yet. Basically, you need to ward. You need really deep wards playing versus Kayn, right? Because since he can walk through walls, if you only have a ward, it's pretty easy for Kayn to avoid the normal ward spots and still get to you because he can walk through walls. And I made good usage of that depending on how my enemies were playing. And the enemy team didn't really think of that, I don't think. Here, my Sona ults the Urgot. I'm going to wait till her ult's almost over. I'm going to combo with my W knockup, and then Urgot's going to die by the end of that. I go ahead and tax this whole wave because I want to push and get some damage on the turret. Gnar's going to come with me. He was like... I didn't tax it because I dislike Gnar. I taxed it because I wanted to get to the turret quicker. We get the enemy Urgot to teleport and a few enemies roaming top, so we're going to go ahead and do Son out of here. I finally do get to kill my Gromp, my Blue, and I am going to kill Wolves here too, but I think this is the first time I even killed them. I don't know why you can't see their level in the spectator client, but I'm pretty sure this is the first time I killed them the whole game. And it was just a case of there were more important things to do. This wasn't really a game where I was going to be able to just farm and wait it out. I definitely had to make some leads happen early. And luckily the Gangplank played poorly enough to where I could get a lead on him. Either way, I was going to damage him. I mean, I would have died to get damage on the Gangplank, to be honest, just because of how important it was to be Rhaast. But luckily he actually overextends and we got some kills on him. Now here, my Sona goes kind of deep. She's going to die, but I am going to be able to finish off the Tristana because she's kind of out of place. I know that the enemy team is at their blue, obviously, and they probably know that I know that they're there, and they know that I know that they know that I know. etc. Because of that, me and Casson are going to kind of bait Gangplank with the red buff, with the red ward, but unfortunately, Cassidon was too weak when Gangplank exhausted him to do anything, so Gameplank's going to kill him. I ult Gangplank just to hide. I wasn't planning on killing the Gangplank, but when you ult someone, you're intargetable, so I just kind of hide in Gangplank for as long as I can. Here, I get ignited by Nami, and the enemy team's damaging me. It looks like I'm probably going to die here. All I can do is knot them up. If you don't remember, Rhaast's passive is that he deals, or he heals for a percentage of spell damage he does to champions, so while I did not think I was going to be able to kill them here, I go ahead and turn on them and damage them as much as I could, because that's really my only option here. Now, for some reason, this was glitched. I don't know if you just saw it. Oh, I guess it's because of me pausing and rewinding or whatever, but my flash was up, so I knot them up, get some damage on them so the ignite doesn't kill me, because I heal when I get damage on them. I flash over the wall. I use my E to get a little bit more healing. All you have to do is enter a wall to get your E healing. You don't have to like go through it or anything. So I enter the wall, get a little bit more healing, and now I already have Dead Man's Plate and Boots of Mobility, so unfortunately the enemy team's not going to be able to kill me. Unfortunately for them, fortunately for me. Now this is the reason that I like to build, sorry, is this? No, this is slow motion. This is real time, and then this is 2x speed. We're going to watch most of it at 2x speed, but I build Boots of Mobility and Dead Man's Plate every game I play Rhaast, and you're going to see why. It gives you almost global presence, simply because you have so much movement speed along with your E, which when you can travel in straight lines on the server, or I mean on the map, sorry, rather than going on, you know, like on all the little paths that Riot has, when you can just walk in a straight line, the map's really not that big. And the more movement speed you have, obviously the quicker you're going to get around it. So that's why I always go Boots of Mobility and Dead Man's Plate. You can go Black Cleaver early. This wouldn't have been a horrible game for me to go Black Cleaver early, but just, I was still doing plenty of damage, and if you don't know, if you build tanky, if you're ahead and you build tanky, it's harder to die, and therefore it's harder to lose your lead. So that's why I went tanky here. It looked pretty bad because my Gnar had already died, but when Cassidon comes in, I go ahead and ult onto a target and get in there and take some damage for him. He's doing plenty of damage now because he has a Rod of Ages already. That's pretty stacked up. And then I do a lot of damage as well. So Cassidon comes in, we kind of completely mop the floor with the enemy team. And now we're going to push this turret a little bit. I tank it a couple shots. It's really not a big deal. I can just E through a wall to heal if I need to. There you go. And then we're going to check out the enemy's jungle. There's really not much up. Urgot was doing pretty well, but actually Gnar finally... Our team has enough global gold. Let me see if I can show it. Yeah. Total gold, Gnar has less. Wait, is that total gold? Yeah, it is, right? That's the total gold you earned. But even though Gnar's a little bit behind, he's pretty close. And you can see that Urgot has 70 CS on him. The only reason that Gnar's that close is because of all the objectives that we're able to take as a team. So things are going pretty well. Nami is solo warding, which you cannot do in League of Legends, especially when you're versus somebody as mobile as Rhaast. So I go ahead and jump on her. She is going to have to flash out of that. And right now I can aggressively press forward because I know Nami doesn't have flash, and I see Tristana bottom. So because of that, and I know most of my teams in the mid lane, we have a pressure advantage, I guess you could call it. So I'm going to go ahead and come in and try to tax their red. But unfortunately here, I do actually mess up. I think this is one of the few times I die. I go for their red, but I went too early. So my team was all mid, and if they had rotated up, we probably would have aced them here, or got all 4 of them killed, but I just kind of baited too early because Misfortune's just now getting towards this fight, and while Cassidon was there, he wasn't able to do much, especially since I died so early. So I'm gonna die. The enemy team, I mean, like I said, when my team groups, they're able to actually pick off some of the enemy team, which was to be expected. See, so if I had just waited a little bit longer on my team to group up, then I wouldn't have died, and we would have killed all of them, and we probably could have Baron. But since I died and Elise is still up, they're not actually going to be able to do this Baron. I think they call it anyways. But yeah, it's not going to work because they have Smite and we don't. And Tristana's threatening our inhib. But I'm going to spawn in 5 seconds. So when I spawned, I was going to be able to kill Tristana. Tristana took knowledge of that. That was actually good on her part. She's going to haul ass. I'm going to walk through walls, see if I can't find her. I cannot, so I'm just going to go and go for my Raptors. Again, always just Raptors. Every time they're up, try to clear your raptors, and that's really all you have to worry about as far as clearing goes. Now, if you clear the rest of your jungle, you can obviously get a lead like that, but I was getting plenty of lead just killing people. So that's why it's just raptors in the fight. Raptors in the fight. Sorry, my nose. I got a little bit of allergies. Please excuse me. Now, Cassian's going to go top. He's going to get in a fight with the Urgot. I wasn't sure that Cassian would lose this 1v1, but I knew that Urgot was pretty strong just because of how much CS he had, and he also lowers resistances, and my Cassian had almost no armor, so I had a feeling that this was going to go south, so I instantly run up there when I see they get in a fight. Unfortunately, as my W lands, Cassian dies, and I just managed to kill steal him, but at least the Urgot died is the only thing you can really take from that. And now we're doing the Baron dance. Their Urgot's down and Gnar has TP, so they're going to lose the Baron dance. And when they realize that, they kind of disperse off of the Baron. We could go for the Baron here, and I think our team's about to try it, or I call it, and then I go for it. But I think we have to leave this. Yeah, we have to leave it when Gameplank ults us. Gameplank sacrifices himself to Gnar just to ult us, and Gnar gets the kill on him without having to use his teleport or anything. So we still have a teleport advantage, and now they don't have Urgot's teleport or Gameplank's ult. So we can just kind of do the exact same thing we just did again, and it'll work this time because they won't have any globals to contest. Right here, I go for my red because they have 3 on the dragon. I was pretty sure I wasn't going to be able to steal the dragon, so I just go ahead and take the red. But then when my team catches up, see, I wasn't going to make that same mistake I made at red last time. Or the enemy red last time, sorry. So when my team catches up, I go ahead and chase down the enemies. Sona gets ult on the Elise. I'm going to try to come in and engage through the wall, but it's not really going to work. I've got damage on Tristana, but the problem here is that Gnar is bottom. Misfortune's not in position to even like ult the enemies. I don't think Misfortune's ult's even up. I'm looking at it over there. And Cassidon's nowhere near, and Cassidon's a lot of our damage along with me. So because of that, even though Sona didn't get a too bad ult, it's not going to really pan out in anything, and then me and Misfortune are just going to back off. Gnar's still split pushing bot as he should be in this scenario. Now I know I talked a lot about how grouping is more important than split pushing, but when you have a TP advantage, it's pretty good to. It's okay, split push. But see, Gnar is going to group now, even with his teleport up. So that's good on his part. Unfortunately, my Misfortune's going to die to the Tristana. I go ahead and jump on the Tristana and ult her just to get some damage on her. Now here, my GA is popped. I thought I might die, but Gnar gets a really good ult into his CC combo. I go ahead and pop out of my GA, and I managed to kill those two. I wasn't necessarily trying to kill steal my team here, but it's more of if I damage people, it heals me. So because of that, I'm going to go ahead and throw out all my spells as soon as I can. Because of that, I heal up a good bit, and we managed to finish off the enemy. So all that was, I got Tristana low at the beginning of the fight, and then Gnar played really well. He got a good ult off, good CC, and because of that, we're going to kill off that enemy team. In the team fight, we're going to go for Baron. This time, obviously, they have no chance of stealing it, so we're going to take the Baron. And then, I think I farm Wolves, give Cassidy Gromp, and I go back. Now, my build so far has been Boots of Mobility and Deadman's. We already talked about those. I usually go Warrior every single game on Rhaast. Now, I have gone Cinderhook on him before, just when you're the only person that even looks like a tank on your team, but luckily I had Gnar this game, so I didn't need to go Cinderhook. So I go Warrior, Mobility items, and then Black Cleaver. Now, you can build Black Cleaver a lot earlier on Rhaast. There's nothing against that, but I didn't feel like I needed the damage boost. I preferred to get the defensive stuff and the mobility so that I could affect the whole map. And I want you guys to see, sorry, this is one of the only times I'm going to rewind. I want you guys to just watch this 20 seconds of gameplay and kind of understand what happens with Rhaast. So this is real speed. I go ahead and push top. The enemy team, we're going to take this turret. Let's look at the time I kill this turret. 27:08, and then the enemy team's going to come contest. I know that, so because of that, I'm not going to engage. I get my Mobies, my Deadmans, and I'm going to go ahead and use my E. Now, I killed the other turret at 27:08, and not even 20 seconds later, I'm already in the mid lane, ready to push. I still have the Baron buff. The enemy team's still clearing top wave. It only took me 3 seconds to get all the way from the time I stopped pushing that all the way down here, and then not even within 30 seconds later, me and Misfortune get this turret. Now, that's why I buy mobility on Rhaast. Just because in 30 seconds, I'm able to get 2 turrets from 2 completely different lanes, and the enemy team just kind of doesn't know what to do. He's like the ultimate split pressure champion Rhaast is when you get the mobility on him, because you can just be everywhere at once. So here my team also, because their team chased me mid, my Kassadin and my Sonar are going to be able to get another turret top. So that was just a complete butcher of their macro. They should have stuck to defending one of the lanes and just defended it instead of trying to chase me around, because they're not going to match Rhaast's mobility. And here Miss Tristana gets a little out of place. I go ahead and knock her up, and then my team's going to kill her. Nothing special there. Me and Kassadin are both fed, so when I knock up an 80 carry, the assassins are going to take care of her. Kassadin goes ahead to kill the Elise. Misfortune gets ult off. They're kind of diving, but I prefer to play it safe usually. I don't know how much gameplay of mine you guys have watched, but 9 times out of 10 when my team's, you know, turret diving their obelisk or whatever to kill them, I'm the one that's hitting the nexus or hitting the inhibitors, trying to actually end the game. I don't really care about score that much. Here we get the inhib, we get both the turrets, and then we're actually not going to be able to end here. We're all really, really low thanks to Urgot's harass, and then Tristana spawns and she comes in and starts killing off low targets. I'm going to go ahead and recall because I'm no fool. I know this is not going to work. Now my team's kind of like raging at this point, saying, oh, just hit, well, Misfortune was, I don't think anybody else was, but I remember her raging, just hit the nexus. But the thing is, we're up 12 kills, and there's no like objectives up. There's no Baron for the enemy team to take and suddenly turn the game around. There's no reason for our team to even suicide and die there, because if we do all suicide, that just gives them, you know, almost a gold lead, gives them a chance to come back. We didn't have to do that, so we just continue on what we need to do. I go back, go ahead and buy my Black Cleaver, come back in. My Kassadin got caught by the Nami and the Elise, but on the back end of that, me and Nara are going to be able to kill the Elise. I go ahead and come over to the Nami. Now here, unfortunately, Tristana was autoing me that whole time, and I think Nami ignited me, so I had healing reduction. So because of that, I'm not going to be able to heal enough by damaging the enemies, and I am going to die. And this is exactly what I didn't want to happen at their Nexus, and it ends up happening anyways because of how my team wanted to play it. But I mean, that's just solo queue. There's really not a whole lot you can do about that. The enemy team comes to push this turret. Misfortune kind of defends it, but she's out of place. If Urgot catches her, she's going to die, and Urgot caught her, so she's going to die. Tristana stays mid, but I think I'm up any second now, so she gets some damage on this turret. Kassadin comes in. Kassadin can't 1v1 Tristana just because of her mobility, but I can. So Sona dies. I would go in, but right now it's taking it kind of slow because, well, 1, 2 people on my team are dead, and I don't know where the whole enemy team is. And then 2, there's still no reason to rush, and rushing is what has got my team from a 12 kill lead to an 8 kill lead. We gave them 4 kills for really no reason at all because my team wanted to rush. So because of that, I'm taking it kind of slow, just farming the jungle, waiting on my team to respawn. Now for some reason my team, Misfortune goes bottom lane with Gnar. Because of that, me and Kassadin need to go bottom lane with Gnar because it's a group meta. So we do that. We all head bot. The enemy team, once again, not thinking about Kayn. They should have had a ward here. Maybe me and Sona killed one, but they should have had a ward like here and maybe up here. Basically ward on the opposite end of big walls, because Kayn is, you know, that kind of guy that goes through big walls. Now I get the knock up on the Elise. Kassadin jumps in. I wasn't actually planning on turret diving, so I kind of back off. Kassadin takes the turret for a little bit, and then Gnar flashes in, gets a lot of CC off. Me and Kassadin finish off the turret. In the meantime, the Elise, the Tristana, and the Nami all die. I come in, I'm going to go ahead and finish off the Urgot, and then at this point, Gameplank's like trying to bait our team, which of course these guys are going to do the same shit they just did that put us behind, and they're going to chase Gameplank around. They do kill him, but you can see me just beelining straight for that Nexus because it's open, because we already have top inhib, so I'm going to go ahead and go for it, and then we are going to actually end the game there. So 13-2 and 13, a nice symmetric score. Kayn, you're not always going to do that well in Kayn. That was just a matter of Gameplank letting me kill him. So the enemy team, I don't know if they picked range just by chance and then it happened to counter Kayn, or if they actually acknowledged that you need to pick range versus Kayn, then they should have also acknowledged that Kayn's probably going to camp Gameplank. So while me camping Gameplank was kind of inevitable, he didn't have to die at all, and since he did die a few times, that set up me to start snowballing, and then once I got Rhaast early, I was able to make a play bottom, and then from there, luckily I had a pretty cooperative mid this game too. He followed me around, and with Kayn and Kassadin's mobility, and then Kayn's CC, as long as you go Rhaast, I mean, it was too easy. So that's going to be it for this game. If you guys have any questions on Rhaast, please ask. Or I mean on Kayn, please ask. There is going to be a tips and trick Kayn. Probably not this week, though. I don't think I'll make a tips and tricks this week at all. But probably next week. He'll be in the first one. And an in-depth guide on Kayn. But we're going to wait for a patch or two before we do an in-depth guide, because I want to see what Riot's doing with them. So anyways, thank you all for watching. If you have any questions, let me know. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.